This is a press conference we've called for the end of the successfully recently concluded 15th Banjul OIC Summit. So we've come to give you an update on what happened during the summit. With us today, we're honored to have some very special guests. We have the Chief Executive Officer of the OIC Secretariat, Ambassador Yankuba Diba. We have the Minister of Information, Honorable Dr. Ismail Asize, and the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Mamadou Tangara. Also on hand to give remarks will be the Head of Brand and Communications from the OIC Secretariat, Mr. Nfale Fadera. So this should not be a long press conference. So after the initial remarks from the dignitaries, we should then invite the members of the media to invite a few questions. So as you all know, we just concluded the successful Banjul OIC Summit, and I believe everybody can attest, both in Gambia and around the 57 nations, that the summit was a great success. I think we pulled off something that people didn't think would be possible, but we did it in a manner befitting the Gambia and the OIC. So without further ado, I'd like to call on His Excellency Ambassador Yankuba Diba, Chief Executive Officer of the OIC Secretariat, to make his remarks. Ambassador, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman Tunkara, Honorable Ministers, Foreign Affairs, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, Honorable Dr. Sise, Minister for Information, colleagues, our very valued partners from the press. We are delighted today to welcome you once again to the Sada Karaba Jawara Conference Center. As you can see, we are all beaming with smiles. That tells you that we had a very, very good outcome, very good ending to the summit, which was just held. My task today is just to welcome you and to tell you that we've had a very, very successful summit by all counts, both logistical, management, in terms of also because summits are evaluated not by the beauty of the roads and so on and so forth. It's by the quality of declaration, quality of communiques that arise from the summit. And I'm here to tell you that we've come up with the best outcomes that any summit can expect. We have been lucky to attend several such summits and extraordinary summits, but I must say that by rating, this particular summit, the 15th Summit of Heads of State, is by no means one of the best that the OIC has ever organized. So we are here today to bring you up to speed with some of the developments, and of course, if you have any questions, we will be more than happy to provide answers to your questions. So without wasting much time, I'd like to say thank you very much for coming, and we hope that you might be able to get all the answers to the questions that you come with. Thank you very much, Chairman Tunga.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for those remarks. Before we continue, I'd like to also recognize the attendance of members of the OIC Secretariat and also members of the LOC of the Banjul OIC Summit. I would now like to call on His Excellency Dr. Ismail Asize, Minister of Information, to give his remarks. Doctor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. This gives me great pride and honor to stand here before you to be part of this very important press conference. The summit has ended after 5 years of planning, and I think my address will focus on what is it that Gambia can gain from this politically. But before I start, I'd first like to congratulate His Excellency the President for assuming the role of the chair of the OIC. This is a very, very important position. It's important both for the President but also for the Gambia. And I'm sure that he will provide strategic leadership for the organization in fulfilling its mandate in providing unity and solidarity for member states of the OIC. We also thank the President for his vision, his leadership, his support, and his steadfastness in supporting the Secretariat, but also the board, and also the entire process to ensure that the summit was successful. So we thank the President for that. Now, the OIC is the second largest organization in the world, behind the US. And this gathering also, which happened here this weekend, is the second largest gathering of world leaders that can happen anywhere in the world. And we are confident and we are happy that all 57 countries were represented in the summit, which doesn't happen quite often. And remember, apart from the fact that it has 57 countries, the aggregate entire population of the OIC itself is close to 2 billion people. I mean, if you accumulate the population of all the 57 OIC member countries, from Indonesia to Nigeria, you put them together, it's about 2 billion people, 1.8, 1.9 billion people. Now, dealing with issues as diverse as obviously the peace process in Palestine, it's a very complex issue. Peace in Sudan, Yemen, Lebanon, and other countries that are today undergoing turmoil. Not only that, issues of Islamophobia affecting the Muslim Ummah, issues of attack against Muslims, issues of attack against minorities in countries like India, in countries like Myanmar. And we also, Gambia took the lead in taking Myanmar to the International Court of Justice, invoking the Genocide Convention, that what is happening there against the Rohingyas was tantamount to genocide. And we won. That's a huge, huge achievement for the Gambia. Issues like climate change, science and technology, women, children, and family issues. These are broad-based issues that the OIC has to contend with under the leadership of His Excellency Adama Barrow as chair of the OIC. And we are confident that he has the vision and he has the capability and the leadership qualities to lead the OIC to be dealing with all these issues. We have no doubt about that. And the fact that Gambia now will be on the world map, trying to negotiate peace processes around the world, itself is pride for every Gambian. And I think work has started. Remember also on the sidelines of the OIC were bilaterals, where the president had to meet other presidents also to discuss issues affecting not only the OIC but also the Muslim Ummah. It means that Gambia will be on the world map dealing with issues in Palestine, pushing for an immediate and sustained ceasefire in Gaza, pushing for humanitarian access to humanitarian aid in Gaza, pushing for peace in Sudan, and so on and so forth. And this is really good for the Gambia. So politically, Gambia is gaining, we'll get the visibility. And I'll take this opportunity to thank all those who contributed to making this a success, starting with the OIC Secretariat, of course. You've done a fantastic job. When many people doubted your ability to do this, you did it in grand style. So we thank you for that. We also thank the protocol officers who sacrificed every time and energy to ensure our guests are comfortable. The security services as well, ensuring safety of not only Gambians but also of our guests. We thank you. I don't want to forget anybody, but all those who contributed, securities, protocol, the secretariat, the board, the president, the ministers, everybody. Wow, media, you did fantastic. Media coverage was powerful. We had no issues with that. Because for me, one of the most important issues with regards to the summit was the media. Because the guests who are coming came from countries with far bigger roads and more beautiful hotels. What they wanted was visibility, to be seen, and for the declaration to be out there in the world. And we did that quite magnificently. So I thank you all.
Thank you, Honorable. We appreciate the remarks. And as the Honorable Minister said, His Excellency the President Adama Barrow, he said in his speech that he is now the driver of the bus of the OIC. So all the passengers need to get on board, and we all need to support the driver, because it's not one nation or one person that makes an organization successful. It's all of its members. So I'm sure after the summit, a lot of goodwill has been had, and we'll move forward. Right now, it's my honor to introduce the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, to give his remarks. Honorable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tunkara. Thank you for the excellent work you've been doing with us. First and foremost, I want to thank Allah the Almighty for helping us to hold a very successful summit. And I also want to say that we all share the glory of this successful summit, but the merit goes to His Excellency the President, Adama Barrow. He has not doubted even one single summit. He told me we've reached a point of no turning back. It's do or die, so we have to make it happen. I don't know how you call it in your diplomatic language, whether it's full powers or anything, but all efforts should be geared towards having a successful summit. And Alhamdulillah, with the help of the Almighty, we succeeded in having a successful summit. And we want to thank all the Gambians, because this is not about an individual, it's about the country, the image of the country. And Gambia, as we speak, we don't have gold or diamond. Our gold and diamond is our voice that should be respected around the world, a credible voice. And for that to happen, you need a strong leadership. Because when you find yourself in this position, there are a lot of pressures. Countries want to pursue their agenda through you. And today we are going to face a lot of challenges being the chair of the OIC. The OIC is not only the 57 members. During this summit, we had the 57 member states, 14 special envoys from different countries that are not members, and observers who are part of the observer member states who are, well, they are not member states, but they are observers within the organization. So I want to say, once again, congratulations to the Secretariat. You made it happen in grand style. We've received a lot of unsolicited proposals from people charging us millions to help us in organizing this summit, because they doubted our capacity to do it. And I always tell the CEO, let's not allow that. They will come with their big contracts. If we have done that today, we'll be in big trouble, because they will be asking for their money. Some were asking like 50,000 euro per month. But we refuse. I say we can do it. Whatever these people can do, we can do it better than them. If it is in terms of mobilizing resources, we have friends all over the world. And Alhamdulillah, we have gained that respect, and people listen to us. And we travel around the world soliciting support, and some of our partners came to our rescue. And I want to single out here the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They transported all the secretariat from Jeddah to the Gambia, and even took on board some member states representatives. I want to thank the Islamic Republic of Mauritania for their tremendous support. Senegal, the president told us when Gambia is organizing, it's Senegal that is organizing. And whatever you need to make this summit successful, we'll make sure that we put it at your disposal. I had a lot of speculation thinking that we are paying them money. No. They came as brothers to support, to make sure that we have a successful summit. The Kingdom of Morocco, His Majesty the King Mohammed VI gave instruction that all the support we needed, they should provide it. Even the catering. He gave $1 million for the catering. And the team came all the way from Morocco to support in that area, and in many other areas. So I think this is the opportunity to say thank you to all those who supported us. and to salute also the Secretariat for the wonderful work that you've been doing. I also want to especially mention our ambassador and permanent representative to the OIC, Ambassador Salah. He's been passionate, very much passionate in having this summit in the Gambia, and he gave it all out to make sure that things happen. So we want to thank him, and he has gained a lot of respect within the diplomatic circle in Riyadh and Jeddah, because he's also the vice dean, and people listen to him. And if we are here today also, it's thanks to his efforts and persistence. For those who are familiar with Summit, I don't know whether here, well, sometimes this is, I always say that diplomacy is done behind closed doors. If you notice, Tijan is here, he was with sales. You normally don't adopt the resolutions and communicate in public. But here we did it. The press was present. This is done behind closed doors. Because there are a lot of controversies, usually, before the adoption. But this time around, we were able to trash out all the issues. So we were confident enough to have it in public, to do it in public, and for President.
So interest was on being the aspect, security, the protocol, all led to the successful holding of this summit. So I want to thank you, and I will wait for the question, and these are the items of who want to I will do this, and I want to congratulate all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. And also, as far as giving thanks, I want to contribute to the Minister's tireless work in this building during the summit. I mean, a lot of you could not see it, the amount of bilaterals that him and his team were doing as well. Is a testament to how important this summit was for the Gambia. So thank you very much for that. Now I'd like to call on Mr. Fali Fadera. He's the head of branding communications for the Gambia OIC Secretariat, to give you some facts and figures for the summit. Mr. Fadera?
Mr. Chairperson, good afternoon to all of you. I will begin my remarks by recognizing the presence of
Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Dr. Mamadou Tangara. I would also like to recognize the presence of my former lecturer, Dr. Ismail Assise, now the Minister for Information. I would also like to recognize the presence of my boss, Ambassador Yankuba Diba, and my colleagues in management of the Gambia OIC Secretariat, the staff also present here, the LOC, Mr. Tijan Salah representing, and all the distinguished guests and members of the media present here today. Just like Mr. Tunkara said, my name is Mfali Fadera. I am the head of brand and communication, and also was responsible for all conferencing matters during the summit activity. Today my task is very simple, because my boss gave the high-level information and the greetings and the thanks. But I just want to join him and the honorable ministers to, first of all, congratulate the President of the Republic and the country as a whole for, one, successfully hosting one of the most important geopolitical events in the world. Doctor said it is the second largest intergovernmental gathering after the United Nations General Assembly. This is one of a kind in our history. I don't think since we got independence, we managed to host something of this magnitude in the history of our country. So it's a moment of big pride for all of us, and more importantly, Gambia is assuming the chairmanship of the OIC for the next 3 years.
I like to tell people that the possibilities that lie ahead in the Gambia-OIC relationship starts with the conclusion of the summit. This is just the beginning. The summit is just the beginning of what is possible between the Gambia and the membership of the OIC. The potential is huge. Just like Dr. Sise said, 1.8 to 2 billion people are part of the OIC family from 4 continents, from Africa to Asia to Europe and in the Americas. Most people don't know this. You have countries that are members of the OIC in the Americas, Guyana and Suriname, etc., etc. And in addition to that, we have special envoy representatives from even Western countries in Europe and parts of North America. So this is a huge opportunity for Gambia to make its mark on the world stage, just like the minister said. And we are really very grateful for that. Personally, I would like to express my gratitude and appreciation to my boss for the trust he bestowed in me in being part of this all-important national event, and for giving us the opportunity, all of us. If you know what the OIC setup, you will know that we are a very youthful team. I think the average youth there is, the average age there is very, very youthful. And our team is very small, we are less than 20, but nonetheless, we were able to pull it off with a great success thanks to the visionary leadership and guidance of our able CEO, guided by a very competent and proactive board chaired by the President of the Republic himself. Today what I want to do is to take you through some of the things that we have managed to accomplish in the run-up to the summit, during the summit, and what our plans are for the future. As you know, we were set up under the Office of the President by an Act of Parliament. The President is the chair of the OIC board, supported by other ministers from relevant government agencies like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Works, Infrastructure, Information, etc., etc. So once we were set up, our task principally was divided into 3 fundamental areas: resource mobilization, project infrastructure implementation, and event planning of the summit itself. And for you to successfully measure the performance of any endeavor, you have to look at the key performance indicators and judge them by that. And if you look at the Secretariat and our track record, we have done exceptionally well in all these areas. For example, in terms of the resource mobilization, we managed to raise well over $350 million US, which were plowed back into very significant socio-economic development projects, starting with roads, the airport, this conference center, and a host of other sectors. The contribution of the Secretariat is not only limited to the 5 strategic projects that I mentioned, but even the softer components like health, security, the media, etc., etc. All of those things I will come to later. And you look at the events planning. I will join the minister to say it's one of the most successful public events in the history of our country. Don't even take my word for it. If you had chats with even the guests, the organizers being the OIC Secretariat, all of them were incredibly pleased with the performance and the logistics and the arrangements that they saw during their time. In fact, during our informal chats, most of them really confessed that we exceeded their expectation in terms of what they saw, in terms of the orderly manner, in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the arrangement. So as a country, this is indeed a very, very proud moment for us. But I cannot conclude without also recognizing and thanking the efforts of all the people that participated from all walks of life. When we started, we were very clear that this is a national event, and as such, it required the participation of all and sundry. And looking back, I think it is fair to say the whole country participated. Everybody pulled their weight behind the successful hosting of the summit. In fact, by our account, this is the single largest deployment of state and non-state actors from both the civil and the military sectors of the country. More than 5,000 to 6,000 people participated. This includes the security personnel, the state protocol officers, the event runners that we employed, the staff that from the OIC, the LOC members, etc., etc. All sectors of the country participated fully and supported this endeavor, which we are really, really, truly grateful for. In terms of the accreditation and the delegation that came, we registered and accredited more than 4,500 individuals. And this includes about 45 VVIPs and VIPs, including presidents, prime ministers, vice presidents, and permanent representatives of member countries to the OIC. All the affiliated bodies of the OIC were also represented at the highest level, and this includes the Gulf Cooperation Council, the Arab League, the Islamic Development Bank, the Muslim World League, among other crucial organizations. So this is indeed a huge success for this country, and I will not wrap up also without recognizing the trickle-down effect of this summit coming down to the country. Just like I said, this is just the beginning. We will continue to appreciate the impact of the summit in our socioeconomic development in the weeks and months to come. But just to give you a quick snapshot of some of the things that we have done that have started impacting lives and livelihood in the country. More than 90% of the contracts that we have issued as part of our events planning went to Gambian companies. And in most cases, companies owned by young people, young individuals. For example, CS Painting, a very young guy, who was given the task of making sure the place is renovated in terms of the painting and other stuffs. The company that was also responsible for the cleaning, the logistics, the tents that you see outside, the flags that you see, all the other logistical and administrative arrangements that we were able to pull through were all provided by Gambian companies. More than 90%. That, in my view, is unprecedented. And it also shows what we are capable of as a country. We were able to show the world that we were thrown a challenge and we rise to it. And when it comes to conferencing, as you are aware, the Gambia is positioning itself as one of the leading conference destinations in the sub-region. And we have proven to the world that we have what it takes to be able to carry out any of these things, things of this nature. So apart from that, we also trained in our preparations more than 7,000 individuals. And this includes more than 3,000 security personnel. It includes more than 200 people from the health sector, and this includes 110 doctors, 79 nurses, 24 public health officials, 16 pharmacists, 16 lab technicians, etc., etc. In terms of our security sector also, more than 3,630 people were deployed as part of our security operations. So as you can see, the impact that we had, the immediate impact, is immense. But we will really begin to appreciate the significance of this on Gambian lives in the weeks and months to come. So without much ado, I will stop here. And just like the Honorable Minister and my CEO, Ministers and my CEO said, we invite you to ask questions that you may have, and we are more than willing to answer them as much as possible. Mr. Chairperson, thank you very much. Thank you all for your kind attention. Okay. So just to wrap up, what we mentioned in local languages, Mbadingolu, ngali kontong, ngali bismillah bi, ning jamamul la kachato, kabanang Gambia OIC Secretariat la Kundabaro, men felenting kolori sato kono, Kanifi municipality kono. Ndeto falli federality, telbe maralin kibaro nin chokinyolo kola bi, Gambia OIC Secretariat. Bidun, ntolel natale jang kacha kola men yalon ko wollel sotata, membe dending nyin dunia bembala me yalon ko le kumfata Gambia banko kanjante. Ben keta OIC Banjul Summit, OIC Kafu waketa dunia be ben kafuti, ila bentang ani lulu njango, ila nyaton ko le bentan ni lulu njango, men yalon ko wala keta Gambia banko kanjam. Bi men yalon ko lel kafuta majang, walel mu Honorable Minister di, member Marilyn ni bantalan ko lu temola, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, Dr. Ismaila Cissé, me yalon ka telbe Marilyn kibaro ni chokinyolo la ka diamu Gambia mansakunda fanan toyala. Ani mfongo la boss memu ambassador Yankuba Dibati me alon ka tele nyatum ke na Gambia OIC Secretariat la memu bundati man sakunda men sasi pour que nyatum ke banko parendiro la nyimbemba me alon ko wala keta nata men na jambi wala mo pour li mol sekacha be ngoni la nyala ani mfanan kan na kontano ni sewo fana yitandi be ngoni ta lata nyame kontanta bakin sewota kadu nga Gambia le kango jamfandi nga Gambia le fanan faramansin dunia nyakol mo jamalu wallel nata ka jinna banko kanjang kamabe nyum ben sifar nyaton ko lu kabo OIC banko lu beto men siata banko tallulu ani warawlati kabo dunia karobe la fo africa lam fo asia lam fo america lam fo europe kon OIC banko dingol soto je andu mo banko dingol fanan ko la nata alfa fanan soto men yalon ko e bota banko lu to men be europe america ni la ko men yalon ko fanan ye e ka mamang OIC la kor so aketa buñani horma bati kafo molu mo be contanda hani be mo famoti yolu menu OIC Gambia secretariat famoti e contanda ba ke dun tawol men fanan nata jamal yela se waytandi ani la contano be ngoni lata nyame jamal famo ye koy ko ye men tara jang ani ye men jang e koy me yilam so keta contano ni se o kubati banko e kadum Gambia na la doya nyawnya ngaytandi ñunu lako tol fanan nga kujamale no anu nga ala tentu wala bake nga annabi jayi be molu fanam jayi la anin ka konton rofutandi his excellency president adama baroma anala man sakunda kadum atele nyaatun kaya bi nga koku nono nyin kokono anota no ala nyaatun kaya la koto anala sawaro na la wakilo kadum fengo feneti je nani OIC pare ko no me ya kumba aba kokono aba nyaato ay committee londi minister fa wala karola men yalon ko ay sasi pour ye OIC kota ya tambindi ko beti anata ke fendi malon ka sula lota ko la baki so ning nga nya soto daje mba folo la tel la kara tel tam ko la fanan mba konton na fanan ala chairman ya si la mota kan kadum nanyim be wala kum fa fanay même findi daje wala mu ko Gambia le be kala silan OIC la nyaton ko Gambia be tala siri OIC la nyaton ka sira kan anu Gambia be tala siri siron kan fo sanji saba andi wo sanji sabo kono ku jama bale kunde je me alon ka se Gambia banko lu nafa ni banko dingol comme en dalta ka fo mo le nyame OIC be mo la kum fa wole be dadir wole mu kuma membe ja OIC be mo la kum fa lebe datir kila nafa bati me alon ko le be larin Gambia e ni OIC ko kon kadum be mo nyin kola nyin sanji sabon ne be kala Gambia la nyatum kaya watoti andu jikita ko ku jama ba kunta wo kono kayra ba fanam be laari nyaato Gambia e kadum nin ko ku sodata bi OIC la koto jikobe je ko Gambia dun nebe nyatum kaya tala koto OIC fanan na bengolu men yalon ko katu kala ni wati botal wala jamal fanan jikobe je ko bebe kala Gambia banko kan jannet ñinu nim fen jamal men yalon ko bebe dending OIC nyatum kaya nemola Gambia be bulala wo kono nadiata alay ngaytandi fanan kon dolla dogu bundale fanan be marali banko parandiro la andu no parandiro kono nga kata ku jamal lelke pour ka ñi bemata ka soniyan nal hakilo ba ka ñi santam lan kono nga dati nu mune folo la wala mu pour ka ñaato tani yurwa bunda projet ko luta ke landi projet ko men yalon ko be mol na fala ndol OIC men bambul wala mu ko nit ñi OIC somito nata tata Gambia ma fanje gabanko dingol man nafaaji je wota man nafa sodo ñi mirole benun tol sondo mo kono kabintu mo men nga dati andum be koku kelan ka sembendi wala na jiolu ni silolu ni airport project ko ni ku ko tamol men yalon ko ngi beke ngeke pour isake fenati me yalon ko be talla janka molu nafa hannin somito botala andu ni badi ngo nal ya jibe ñi batil hadin highway sila ko tamol men be do ku kan airport nani conference center wol bebe o karol so e kaje ko nafa kilimo wala nata tentem fanan ñin somito parendiro kon ngaytandi nasaran kan fananto ko ni jibero ke projet contrat ko la men yalon nga wollel di ñim parendiro kon nin kemele mu si la tam kono do be Gambian company le liye makoy ka jam conference center ñinta ka parendi ka bolungo ñi ñandi Gambian company le liye makoy ka dulani seniyandi Gambian company wollel ñin tentol do ñaay men beje Gambian company wollel yem makoy kaje ko capital men yalon ko ngesan ngi landi wol be mo Gambian company asobil men yalon ko police ole wolle na dokulale wollel dum security official ye asobil men du ye joramol men sang abe kew Gambian company la so fo mu nganya balati banko ye kadum fengo fen dun daje nyim kododo o betu da banko le kan par wo fana yatandi la fanan ko annin ku nyi nyonku sifana tan kan sinin sam Gambianol sakenol so nafa men beje banko dingole a warata siata bare ko nga fay nyame nyide be kila folode ni nata lunta wala karola men yalon ko wallel nata na haymaroto men tata kanyam fo mo wulinani mo kemelulu nga wallel register nga ngi accredit nga kayto dila wallel mabeta no nyi bengo mumela beto bar wol kono fanan natal luntan wala soto men yalon ko tata kanyam fo luntan wuli fula luntan keme woro men siata wadi domandi wallel fanan nata ka mabe nyi bengo to jang ila bankol toyal kabo OIC bankol to kabo OIC kuke bankol fananto men yalon ke ka fo affiliated organizations wol dabe je andon haymaro fanan kono banku nyaton ko jamal fanan nata men tata kanyam fo mo tannani anin lulu e ka fo mene VVIP wallel mo luntan kumari anin luntan bunyari balti OIC ka fo kono wallel mabeta jang andu wol bo abol kono wallel mo president walti abol kono wallel mo prime minister ti abol kono wallel mo vice president walti anim fanan abe kumala kaytande mol fanan ko OIC kafo la permanent representative tallulu anim woro lolo wol be mabeta nyim bengotol e kaje fanan ko OIC kafo fanan ku kenyolu men boko nyi ga Gulf Cooperation Council men mu arabu du kafo la kafu badi kata fo Arab League, Islamic Development Bank, World Muslim League ñunu be mu kaful leti men yalon ko be OIC ko kono wol bele nata e mabeta ñim bengoto jang andi bele nyaton ko le nata e mabeta bengoto so nafa men beje a sembo warta andu mol fana nyandal no ko ñimmo kunkili naw kunkili nata ka mabe ñim bengoto wol be ini function experience wol ni wol be muruta ye timina diamen tarajang ye sone amen sarat gambia jang ye jirwani nyatata ko men na karola nga kol men no ina bebe murlale ala damale yalon wol be men fola e be gambia to jamfandile ba sindla demen so nafa men be ja warata baki so ñine mu kuma dantanu nata bi pour que men yitandi molla ko men ngafa nyame ni luntan alfal be ja banko alfal be jang ning kibati jenale ka ñinin karo soto e se ñinin karo ke mba katala kila kuma kamol ta ke jabi Mr. Chair, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Federa. Before we get to the questions, I would like to just add a couple more thanks. We want to make sure that everybody is thanked here. And that is for the chairperson of the local organizing committee, Madam Hajaratu Binta Sidibe. She led a team. We have one of the members of the committee here, but she led a team in the local organizing committee that have been working for the past 5 years to get this done. So we'd like to pay thanks to her. Also, Mr. Federa mentioned young Gambians. I'd like to single out 2 young Gambians. One is Yus Geek. He's the photographer you see running around here. And STS, Sheti Jan Seka, who was doing the videos. They were the ones responsible for all the official videos and photographs that the media committee was sharing with everybody. And also, I'd like to thank all the private media houses that came together to support GRTS and their partners to ensure we had an international standard broadcast of all the proceedings, as well as the media that is here and that was here. I just want to put on record, Gambian media behaved with such professionalism that people didn't believe existed. So I want to pay tribute to all of the media houses in this country that were accredited, that came here and reported on the summit. You did a fantastic job and we're all very proud of you. On that note, we have time. We started late, but we have time for a few questions. If you'd like to just stand up, say your name and where you're from, please. Okay, it's loud here. You can echo. Go ahead. Your name? Sorry, we can't hear you.
Or you can come forward. Yeah, please come forward.
All right, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm Esaba from West Coast Radio. Okay.
He's making a speech.
Now, my question is, now that this summit has been held successfully, like we all highlighted, but the construction of the 5-star hotel, which is very important, so many Gambians out there are asking if this project will go ahead for summit. And this question is directed to the Secretary of the
Thank you. Fali? Yeah, okay. Can we have all the questions and then we'll answer them all in one go so everybody's not running around. Can we have 2 more? Please, come. You and then the gentleman.
Thank you. I am Mark Man from Korea Newspaper. So my question is, Gambia assuming the the OIC, what is considered as the principal tax for the President, the OIC Secretariat, and the Gambia at large? What is the principal tax now?
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity. I am Omar Bar from the Standard. I have 4 questions, 2 for the Minister of Information and 2 for the Minister of Foreign Affairs. The first question is, the first 2 are for the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Countries have started cutting trade and diplomatic ties with Israel. Under President Adam Barrow's chairmanship, will this be an option for the Gambia? The OIC Banjul Summit projects are still ongoing. Is it possible for the Gambia to host the summit again in the near future when all the projects would have been completed? I ask this question because countries like Morocco and Senegal have hosted it more than once.
Okay.
For Information Minister Dr. Ismail Sise, the government has bought nearly 100 vehicles for the summit. What is going to be the fate of those vehicles after the summit?
Okay. And your fourth question?
Yeah, the final one is with regards to the OIC projects. Will the OIC projects be audited? If yes, will the outcomes of the audit be shared with the public?
Thank you very much. So is the...
Like a boom like 3-4 questions you asked.
I know.
Answering the question, I will also want to single out, I forgot them, Turkey for the support they've given in the training of our security personnel, and Indonesia in training our protocol officers. On the question on Israel, we do not intend to cut off our ties with Israel. Our philosophy is friends with all and enemy with none. And Gambia's diplomacy is anchored on non-alignment, neutrality, and the promotion of dialogue. How can you have dialogue with someone when you decide to push him aside? Then you will not have any opportunity to sit with him. And the president, as he's mentioned it, he said now he's the bus driver. I would say he's the captain of the boat. So it's incumbent on all the passengers to make sure that we don't rock the boat so that we can reach our destination safely. And to reach that destination, being the objective that we assign for ourselves to bring a peaceful world, we can do it only through dialogue. We will continue to work with all the partners, but Gambia strongly believes in the 2-state solutions. And wherever and whenever a country, even though you are our friend, you do something that is not in line with our principles, we do not hesitate to condemn it. So we have no intention of cutting ties with Israel, and we do not act by reacting to situation based on the reaction of others. Gambia is a sovereign state. Whatever decision we take it without the pressure or influence of anyone. On hosting the summit, well, I think there is a confusion there. You can have as much summit as you want when you are the chair. But the ordinary summit, this is the ordinary summit that gave us the chairmanship. If the situation warrants it, we can convene an extraordinary summit here and have discussion over it. You can also have a summit even in Jeddah, where the headquarters is located, under Gambia's chairmanship. Thank you.
CEO will take the next question.
Yeah, I'll leave that. Okay, thank you very much. I would like to react to the issue of the hotel. Mr. Fadera highlighted some of the strategic projects that we had aligned, we had planned to undertake. The hotel was one of the projects. Of course, accommodation, as we all know, is very important for the holding of summits. However, we had a plan B, and our plan B had worked. We have identified enough bed space that we even needed for this just ended summit. However, let me make it very clear that the hotel project was a unique one that is not the same in terms of scope and character with all others. Like, for instance, the road projects are all Gambia government projects. But the hotel project, you would recall the government did not have money to be able to build a new hotel. We had wanted to take a loan at the beginning, but then the loans were not concessional, so we couldn't get a hotel built on our own. So we therefore explored different possibilities. And one of the possibilities that was identified was a PPP, public-private partnership, where we had 100% equity, but 90% of the equity was supposed to have been provided by a concessionaire. And then 10% of the equity, which is the land, was contributed by the Gambia government. So therefore, we created what is called an SPV, Special Purpose Vehicle. In economic terms or in business terms, that means a company. And that company is neither government 100% nor belonging entirely to the concessionaire. So we had a joint partnership, and we created a company called IMOGAM. IMOLAN is the concessionaire, GAM means Gambia. So it's a company like any other company. It's no longer the same in terms of character. So the company exists legally, it's a different animal from government. The project started, but it had some delays. Notwithstanding, we had our own plan Bs and we went ahead. So if I may answer your question directly, IMOGAM as a company still exists legally. The project site is there, work has started, it has stalled, but it is expected that the project should be completed. So as you can see, which is evident enough, the summit went ahead using all the resources that we have in the country. So that is what I want to say about the hotel. So the 5-star hotel is a joint venture project which includes two partners, Gambia government on one hand and a private concessionaire on another hand, forming a company called IMOGAM. So IMOGAM has its own directors. It's no longer a Gambia government, purely Gambia government project. It's no longer an OIC project. What we did, as our secretariat mandate demands, is to raise resources. And that is one of our resources that we raised. So it's a completely independent legal animal that has nothing to do with us in particular. So it's a company, it has directors. So if anybody wishes to know anything about that company, I think the best thing would be talk to the board of directors of that company. Okay. On the issue of the audited accounts, I just want to make it very clear. Since our founding, we have been audited annually, or at least biannually, we've been audited. And our audits have always been unqualified. It goes without saying that with such inflow of funds, especially from the government, because the government entirely, let me say this again, entirely funded the events planning aspect of this summit. This was not, the money was not provided by any donor. Over 500 million had been pumped into this by the Gambia government, and as Mr. Fadera said, it all went back into the economy because Gambian companies were contracted to provide the services. So naturally, this is public money. Wherever public money goes, if it is a butut, it has to be audited. So the OIC Secretariat is quite prepared even to be audited tomorrow morning, if that is needed. We are prepared, all our processes are foolproof. They are in line with government regulations. We have a very competent finance department, and they make sure that everything conforms with the rules. So we will be audited, and I'm making this pronouncement that we are prepared even tomorrow morning to undergo an audit exercise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, CEO. Very powerful, inspiring, and assuring comments there. I just wanted to address quickly two things. One stems from the question of the hotel, but looking at other projects that we have, because there's this misconception out there, or this idea that now that the projects are completed, the summit is completed, projects that are related to the OIC will cease to exist. This is not the case. Just like I said, our thinking going into the OIC as a whole, and these infrastructure projects in particular, is to look at them from the perspective of legacy projects. We want these projects to be here to benefit Gambians long after the summit is gone. So the road construction that is on the way will continue to go ahead until its logical conclusion. The water and electricity project that is also on the way with NABEC will also continue. Nothing is going to stop it. All the funds that are needed for these projects to be successfully implemented have been fully mobilized. They are there and they will be used and utilized for the purpose that they are intended for. So there is nothing like that. These projects will continue. They will continue to be implemented until they are concluded successfully. This applies to the road projects, Battle Harden and other road projects. This applies in the case of the water and electricity component and all other aspects that are under the OIC umbrella. So mbadi ngol lafa kamen fanam bambani dorong membe dending kuma kangola Mr. Baye men nyininka membe dending hotelo la kola nyininkaro menke wala mu hotelo la ko be la nyaadile sa me alon ko somito nyintara kumfata nabos ambassadeur ko dibaya jabiku kaytan dala ko somito e hotelo la ko fende me alon ko ama fansum bundalet anu jiko be jiko be tenten na la kake lafa ko ku kilmo la fam bambandi kaytan diko na project kote ngol fanan na ko be larinten ka fodron ko somito bandale project kote ngolu men be den somito la membo ko sila do kolu ananyum fensi fa ko no kol be dan la amantra wonya abe nyame wole mo ko nying project kolu to nyalla nga ko do nyini to yal somito le to yal nga project kolu kere kere pour nying somito la ko la nyim bemba bari project len man yalon ko fanan wato men nambe tabikan nun ke doku mbe yilla kam be demante je kan wole mu project gambianol be nafa ifan nafa no la je nyaadil somito kola nyim project kol be gambianol nafa la nyame wala munun na miroti wala ne nyim project kol be jibe project le men yalon ko nafa be tar la janne ka gambia dingol nafa sanji jama somito kola kol project kol men boko silo jioni courant wala karola ino na airport VVIP lounge nyim conference center me yalon kol be lorin jannim famon tol bulla la somito nyim fam kono ngaka kodo men fam do ku janni somito nyim conference center do ala damale wala kadu nyim santambila CEO se ken na serori anin do ku nyol men siata dalasi million keme di nga wala do ku nyim conference center dama and santem famo Gambia fanam be faramansa kam bakele ni nata conference wala karola Africa la jamma fam so nafalu men be nyim project ko kunna sane fo be bulaka nga nafa fam ko no mandunga ma folo finin ko lem duno nyim man na folo so nyunu be mo project le melon ko be talla janne kan nafa andu be tenten dala ke doku kadum project ko men mu nyunuti nyin mu fenati melon ko man dan somito damal hadni somito botala e nafa be talla janne ka gambianol fananta ke makoy. On the question of Gambia, the next 3 years for the Gambia, just like the Honorable Minister said, Gambia has a very big vision for the organization. But we are also mindful of the fact that in order to fully tap into that potential, it requires a national effort. And just like the Minister said sometime in one of his remarks, we are going to mobilize the fullest capacity of this country, including the public and the private sector, the civil society organizations, probably even have a national conference on how we can fully tap into this potential to make sure whatever we need, because the OIC also comes with a lot of possibilities. They are engaged in science and technology, research, in business, trade cooperation, investment. There was also an investment forum alongside the summit here in the country. So you can see the possibilities are huge. And as a country where others see a challenge, we see an opportunity. And under his leadership, we are very convinced that we will mobilize the fullest potential of the state to make sure we leverage on all these opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister.
Yes. Thank you very much. I think I've been asked 2 questions by Omar Ba of the Standard newspaper. One of them was the vehicles that the government bought for the OIC summit. What will become of those vehicles? There is nothing concrete yet from the government, and I think in the subsequent days we will meet as a board to decide what will happen to those vehicles. I'll get back to you in line with our proactive effort to disseminate information. We'll give you every information on that. The second question, I think CEO attempted to answer it in terms of the audit. Obviously, in line with government's effort to promote transparency and accountability, obviously that will happen. Remember, an event of this magnitude where public funds are used must be audited, and those audited, that will be made public as well. So we hope that, and I'm happy that CEO has told you that they are ready even to be audited this evening. That is heartwarming. Thank you.
He said tomorrow morning, but he's ready for this evening too. Right now you can go to his office, inshallah. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, the standard asked 4 when they should have asked 1. We're bringing the end to the press conference right now. I'd like to thank the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honourable... Oh?
Just to thank my team.
Sorry, the Minister wants to thank another. There's so many people to thank.
We can have 2 more questions.
Yeah? Okay.
But I want to thank the MOFA team, the entire team, for working with a lot of dedication and sacrifice under very difficult conditions, because we put a lot of pressure on them, but they live up to expectation. I can say even beyond expectation. But that shows what I always tell them, that the center of success smells like team spirit. When we work as a team, there is no reason we cannot succeed. And I think Gambians have demonstrated that during this period of hosting the summit. And there are a lot of opportunities. My colleague, Dr. Cisse, mentioned the fact that a lot of opportunities are on the way, because we've signed a lot of bilateral agreements. And there are a lot of countries that are interested in enhancing their relationship with Gambia. You know, many of the delegates, we have many delegates. This is not only their first trip to Gambia, but to Africa. So as you rightly mentioned it, Gambia is on the map, and the whole world is looking up to us. Already, I always say, the UN Secretary General always said that he wants Gambia to be a successful story in his agenda of sustaining peace. And today, being the chair of the OIC, and that's where it's important for us to be friends with all, so that we can engage them, talk to all the parties. We have our plans, but we'll reveal that after the chairman has decided which one will be his priorities. But I can assure you that we'll be engaged in many mediation, because we've already been solicited to participate in many mediation, and people have a lot of trust and confidence in the president. Just recently he was awarded as the most peaceful president in Africa. That's a huge recognition. So I think we are ready and set to assume our role with the responsibility and the courage that it requires. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable. And I can attest to what the Honourable Minister said, because I was chatting with one delegate, and it was his first time in Africa, and he was looking around the conference center, and he said he could not believe such a thing actually existed in Africa. He was that happily surprised. So that shows you the level of work that has gone into this. But I've been told we can have 2 more questions. Yes, you in the back there. Can be one. Mr. Ansuman.
Hi, I'm Anshuman Ansuman, PTV. For the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs, you did state Gambia's position as regards to our relationship with Israel. But one of the resolutions that was adopted at the end of the Banjul Summit is the OIC basically urged member countries to impose sanctions on Israel. I just want to know whether this will have an influence on our foreign policy as regards to Israel. If not, I was bearing in mind that we are not chair of OIC.
Domo sigi kanya America well, na question of Minister of Information and Head of Communication, Mr. Fali Fadera. First question, Doctor, nga jele dani summit ni kasi barely 1 day to the summit, mole kibaro ni social media, dame jalo yi tandiro ke Mauritania le delegation o mena da Gambia, suinaro ke de la Inkrani dove sabatene dame. So still modo di emeliano kwa kibaro ni mako ima foto nyane bela plakalo fu kibaro ni foto nyane. And second question, Avila Mr. Fali Fadera kan wale ni diko ya wala diamo kon almost $350 million mobilized for OIC Summit. Pansa po normally, jealous spent in terms of capacity building, in terms of Kodomen Dunda Rose, in terms of Kodomen Dunda Nawek, and also break down normally. Thank you.
Final question.
My name is Kim Okani from the Voice newspaper. In the final communique that was said, member countries were implored to make sure that they actively participate in the global supply chain. How prepared is the Gambia's participation into that global supply chain in boosting the productive industry? And the second question will be also in the OIC membership we are also encouraged to make sure that they trade with one another and also invest within the OIC member states. What is the anticipation of the Gambian government in trying to harvest investment opportunities from the member countries?
Thank you. From which media? I think QTV?
QTV.
Yes. Voice?
No, QTV.
QTV, yeah. We do not intend to impose any sanction on anyone. This is a resolution, it's a call, but we, as I said, we remain a sovereign state, and we have our foreign policy guided by our non-alignment and our neutrality. And as I said, you cannot engage parties if you start taking position. So, and I always say diplomacy is done behind closed doors. And for you, if you understand the intricacies of diplomacy, you are very mindful of imposing sanctions and taking clear-cut positions. On the Yanyin Karo Munke pour Mauritanie, Nkolia Sunyaro Munke je, Tonyale. Bari suñaro ka ke dula belto birin nta fola ko gabe wato mun na OIC be ke kan nu jam fon manke mu ya lon ka manke betama ya ni mol dol be ara betola dol fanan ke mera jo malla unfortunately woketa bari birinta reje itol ma ke kubati parce que birinta reje bra nga moy ndol fonga telephone san ko be replace dara ko muk itata iko itol mu a jokole ate jokole ko Gambia la minister ndu ñin sekana bota damintole ndol kata ante fon kata mitinol do dolto banku bal alte yilla la munna ikanna fon suñaaji you know nin délégué soltara jamanka fo e hakilo to wala na ni rata hotalo to fon ika sefo di la pour ya fendol ma boje so wo buka bayno fenna mu ya lon ko naka kamalo sambana bankoy bari nta fo ko Gambia mo suntija sumol bijanne mo betol bijan sumol fanam bijan bari tol make ku bati i malla finum fa funti banta woya dimi fa munatina akumo funti banta parce que asekeno dula belto ndate ministre nyi amu interior ministre ako nyi mo fendindi nete NSA ta reje parce que président yanki pour nga futeba bari molle a warande a manke ku bati mu ya lonko ay tol suno or anything ako natara telephone a fa sa san wol be ay sa telephone o dir bari bin wo kata fa nga je security area on force je bake man na hani problème kilo moy dawoda wo fana mo ala tendulde wo ku kilo mo doronde ku jowati kol kono bari wo fana nte baala parce que Gamba mobe manke mo tilinde wote voilà.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Before I answer my question, I'd like to add on to what the Honorable Minister said about the incident. Mo wuli nan le nata Gambia nga wata mbito wote fonde mina mo wuli lulu sila so ni o keta banko min kam banko mi alon ko o kundingo do neketa o woto mo ala tentolete ngandom police of anabela do ko jela kaje ko min ketan salon. Now with regards to your question on the global supply chains, I think one of the important aspects of global supply chain is to provide the mechanisms to ensure that consumers have access to goods, perhaps, and services. And Gambia is doing well in that front. As you know, currently Gambia is investing heavily in expanding the Gambia ports, but also building a deep sea port at Sanyang. And that will also help in enhancing the global supply chains, ensuring that Gambia now becomes a hub, a maritime hub, for the movement of goods, particularly from the African continent to the subcontinent, but also to Latin America, and also to Europe, and also to Asia, because Gambia is strategically located. That is why, if you remember, the raison d'etre of the existence of Gambia is the River Gambia. When the British came, they were only interested on the river and how far they could navigate it. So Gambia is a hub for maritime, and I think the Gambia government has a strategy to harness that potential to ensure Gambia becomes a global supply chain destination. With regards to investment, I think investors want predictability. Investors want to have confidence in a country and its market. And what gives that confidence is the peace and stability of that country. And Gambia has done exceptionally well in proving to the world that Gambia is stable and peaceful, not only in the short term, but also in the foreseeable future. That is what investors want. Before an investor comes and invests $10 billion in a country, he or she must be sure that his or her money is safe. So Gambia, through maintaining peace, having a peace outlook and stability in the long term, as indicated in every other international index that looks at peace and the maintenance of peace, is an attractive destination for foreign direct investment. So we have no doubt that Gambia will benefit from this. And recently, during the speech of the, I think is the president of the Islamic Development Bank, that $253 billion is sitting, waiting for poor countries to benefit from it. I'm sorry for calling the Gambia a poor country, but that is how they describe us. But for countries like Gambia to benefit from it. And I think through that, we'll promote trade, we'll promote foreign direct investment, and I think Gambia is well placed to use and harness our bilateral opportunities to ensure that trade happens within the OIC. And I think I was discussing with many countries came forward to express interest in coming and investing in the Gambia, but also having trade bilaterals between the Gambia and those countries in the OIC. So Gambia is well placed to promote global supply chains by expanding our current port infrastructure, but also building a new deep sea port at Sanyang, but also through stability, investor confidence, conducive policy environment in medium and long term, Gambia is ready to ensure that we attract FDI, but also to promote trade within the OIC matrix. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Mr. Federa, I think this is the last answer.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Tunkara. Mbe nyininkaro do kejang ako kodo men dunta je 300 million atata nyame la faka wala jabi. So coming off nyame the 350 million more than mensiata wati $1 million keme saba talulu ngafo no nakuma kono ko nga wale nyini non ka dundi project ko lukunda wala mo project jumalti wala mo nyin sila project ko di infrastructure project ko lu jioning kurango nyin conference center airport lounge anin project ko tan min yalon ko be wollel to hotel bo ko na nyim fancy fa ko tan so wo koro dunta wollel do in terms of capacity building même mu ka do kulalo nyin ta ke ila londo sembontu yandi anin ke la fahamro sembentandi wol mambo wo 350 million kono wo bota $500 million la kono dalaso me alon ko wollel dunta nañi summit planning kono comme CEO ya fa nyame wole mu andum comme ngafa nyame men siata Gambia dingoti mo wulilulu nga wollelu la karan sembentu yandi atanko bundaba wol kono men siata mo wuli sabati na protocol official bo kono men siata mo keme fulati da doctorol ni nosol bol kono men siata mo keme fulati fanan doctorol ni nosolu nga menu train ke parendi ni bengo kamba mo keme mo tangbeje wol mu doctorol lelde senior doctors woni nosol manke clindi mo taworo wala ni kononto nosol men yalon ko lel karandita lab technicien mo tanni woro pharmacie sol mo tanni woro ni natan na hospitality fanando pour que luntangol jia ke konote dia ila sabati blan dinkira ko tamol to men siara mo keme fulati nga wallel karandi woro ni nata protocole la karula men siara mo keme fulati ananyo nga wallel fanan karandi woro so e kajere ko nafal men yalon ko wallel be nyin kunnatola karandiro famo damma la sembo warta baak kadum tol nga menje wala muko OIC nafa be doyala baake ning atara somito nata tambita gambianol me fanjeje andu nyin karandiru bengol fanan kola nga kodo fanan sikale nga di bunda jamal banko kanjang pour que sembentu yandi na tanko bunda mol me security agency men siata $1 million tan sabati nga wala lebul men siata wala wo be pour ya dundi ka jorangol sang ka uniformol sang ani fanko tamol ka je kon la luntangol se tanka tara kane soto na doctor o bunda mol men mu jaralo bundade men siata dalasi million tan sabati more than 30 million dollars was invested in the health sector andu nga fengolu menu sang ye fengolu men sanje joran la karola adabo kono wala mu fengol dimina lan ko dol namanan soto gambe banko kanja in fact ni nga tara manke to la demarote ani alala manda bew dendu maybe ku se soto me alon ka ben na somito maran la kadu modole be dem me alon ko heart attack le amaja bari given the preparedness na doctor la parew kamba ya mari taste borol men alon ke nyanta dilale ya dia mari la katabake manna mo fula fango ngam men sutiata won woni mo ko tangol men futate ma je jaro lolo karola wol manke kilindi ni nata jibe lo fananke na kiba janjo ngoni kiba ta bundala GRTS bo kono ani doku bunda ko tangol GRTS fon kun kulingo fo ngam di wol fananna asiada dalasi million woni luluti dalasi million tan sabani fen wo fanam pour ye camera kutolu sang pour ye joram kutolu sang men yalon ko abe ma ko la so e kaje ko le nafa mbeje ay karo belema ay fanna belema inshallah nadiata alay wol be tentena la ko ngayi tan di nyame honorable minister fana ye jabiro ke kundin na me alon ko wole la fakanna fengo nyi mulu njawiyandi bari comme docteur Cissé afa nyame men siara men sudiara mo wuli sabati wol benta damendo mo mam problème soto mo man batada ku soto je na manke ku kelindi ngamiro mo ala tentu balade mu duwa jabu balde kadu mol fana nyantalo na la ko nin dolu ba sinna dolu be sarendro andum tumando ba do fam mo malo membe nyi mari membe nyi ko koma aski na mari ba ke kanne pour que banko fanan to kendi ala dam malolo bari ngamello wala mu ko ite nyi mo be bendi nola iman sika ku soto je tumando ba do nyina fana mun na sadati ko nyi kono ala tentu amanna ke kubati amanna ke fendi men se maluba sindi banko bari comme ministre afa nyamen akobe kiskis kanne inshallah mba ko dango bondilale kaje ko de koku ba koma be bang ni nata wo ko famo kola e kaje ko luntan jamalel be jangi tata banko karo belel dol findite tata sandro la marché oldo dol be je wol tata na club oldo restaurant tal dal wol man hani problème o problème soro e man nyabi mo kan e man moy mo kan e man tan ke ku kemola bari ko lata wala nyama nga mutaw nyama ndumbe menyanda mbamba ke kanne na tanko bundamol ba ko normale inshallah iba dango bondila nadiara alay bari namanan kibaro ngamira sidam ba kum fala jane bari namanan ta dron ministre ya itandi na konse mobe jayi ngal tentu gambia man sakunda to yala banko nyaton ko his excellency president adama baro fanan to yala mba fanan jayla mba tentula mbe na kontano ni konoto diya itandi lala mbe duwala e fanan mbe daniro ke la banko be pour mobe se duwaye na jamangol to na satawol kono nimbe koku ke kan duwa fo gambia kana du nyim men kono OIC nyaton kaya sanji sabo nin kayra bakata mo se benje kadu ninga kayro soto je gambia dingol bella nafa so mbese den nga loa kola ngani akilimola mbe na CEO fana jayla mben do ku nyol be jayla momo yalon ko ya muta nyin ko kono gambia no la bengo mo nyenti an se ala tan du ko gambia no le nyingi man molu soto men botana bantala kana ka kenya ali ko ko je somito kono nyin tendi bal ni fangol be gambia no lembe mo be jayla mba tentula ko kenya lo secretariat di LOC and organizing committee ki ba jam bundamolu mbal be jayla mbal tentula ndito mo falli falel timbal jay kan honorable minister Tangara Toyala Dr. Ismaila Cissé information minister honorable ani ambassador Yankuba Diba Allah barakabake. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Federa. On that note, Excellencies, if you'd allow me, we'll close the program. I'd just like to say one more thing. To all Gambians that were here at the summit or that were at home watching it, we were all a part of history and we should never forget that. This was a historic moment for this country and the people of the Gambia. So let us all enjoy that, and in the next 3 years under the chairmanship of His Excellency the President Alan Barrow, let's all make best use of the opportunities that might come the Gambia's way. Thank you all for coming. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.